So if you had $3,000 and you were going to buy a guitar, let's say today, and you were looking at a Martin guitar and a Taylor guitar because those were the only two available, which would you purchase, the Martin or the Taylor? I'd like to know what you think and what you would prefer. If you could comment, that would be great, and let me know. I was curious because I did a video not long ago about comparing or talking about Martin and Taylor's guitars and talking about not so much that I thought one was better than the other because they're different. They're both acoustic guitars for sure. But their sound is different, their playability is different, their target audience is different. And so I thought it would be fun to ask some people who I know who are players, some who are professional players, some who are sit on the couch and play at home players. One fellow is a guitar collector, sort of like me, only he has 150 guitars and mine are in the 20s. A girl who works for music and arts, and she is just 1 year into learning how to play guitar, so she can sing to it. She has a beautiful voice. So I was curious what people thought and what they would purchase with that $3,000. So let's see what they say. If you had $3,000 and you could either choose a Martin guitar or a Taylor guitar, which would it be?
It would be the Martin, like everybody else. You know, I go into these music stores and I play all the different guitars in there, particularly the Taylors and the Martins, and I find that the Taylors are not consistent with their action and their sound, you know, where the Martins are. You know, so just yesterday I picked up a very expensive Taylor up at making music, you know, and I was playing it, and it was okay, but the action wasn't so great, you know, up in the upper registers. You know, when I picked up an equitable Martin thing, and it was perfect. You know, so yeah, my choice would be consistent with a lot of people, which is the Martin.
You had $3,000,
Okay.
and you could buy either a Martin or a Taylor, which would it be?
Okay, so from what I know from work now and like what everybody buys, what I see all the time, I would go with the Martin just because I always like the quality of it. It always feels really nice and the strings are always nice. It just has a really bright sound every time I play it in the office. So I would go with the Martin, and I picked the most expensive one.
You had $3,000.
Oh boy.
And you could buy either a Martin or a Taylor, which would it be?
Well, for me, it would be a Martin because I've always loved Martins. Martins. That's the first really good guitar I had was a Martin D76. And the Martin D76, I don't know if you remember, but it was a bicentennial edition guitar. And when it was originally made, it was made just for the people who worked at Martin. And it is now a collector's item that is worth thousands and thousands of dollars. I have the 68th one made. And I'll never get rid of it. It's mine forever. I've had it since I was 18 years old. And I remember when I bought it from Venom and Music. Do you remember Venom and Music? I bought it at Venom and Music for $1,000, and I kid you not, when I opened up the case was wrapped in saran. I've never seen that done before. Opened up the case, and it had been sitting in there for a while, right? Opened it up, the guitar was in perfect tune. Just sitting in the case, wrapped up. And I said, oh yeah, this is it. And I spent all the money I had at the time, saved up, and I bought that guitar. So I still have it.
You had $3,000, and you could choose between a Martin or a Taylor, which would it be?
I think it would probably be a Martin. I mean, I wish I could find a guitar that played as well as a Taylor that sounded more like a Martin. Then I'd have the perfect guitar.
If I had $3,000, I really like Taylors. There are some Martins I like playing, but I'll go with the Taylor. A Taylor guitar.
If you had $3,000, would you buy a Martin or a Taylor?
Taylor.
Why?
I own two Martins, and I think the plural anecdote is research, but the construction quality is, maybe I just got the two where the neck delaminated on the 175th anniversary issue of
cutaway, and on the HD, the flagship, the HD 28, the purfling is you can feel the edge of it with your finger, like it's not just more than just a natural expansion in the winter and spring. So I think I'm ready to try a new sounding guitar.
If you had $3,000
Okay.
and there was a Martin guitar and a Taylor guitar, and you could purchase one of them, would it be the Martin or the Taylor?
It would be the Taylor without question for me. I love Taylors. So that no question about that.
If you had $3,000 and there was a Martin guitar and a Taylor guitar, and you could only buy one of them, would it be the Martin or the Taylor?
Taylor 716. Yeah, I just like it doesn't have as much low end as the Martins, but I think it's just a general broad range, from highs to lows to medium, the in between. It just, to me, it's just a great overall sound. I really do.
You had $3,000
Yes.
and you could only buy one guitar, and one was a Martin and one was a Taylor, which would it be?
Well, for me, it would be a Taylor because I have two Martins, and I've always wanted to hear. I have friends who have Taylors, and when I play them, because they are different, because they have that balanced sound as opposed to the bass, which I kind of like in the Martins, I really would like to have a guitar that was more evenly spaced in the sound. And so I would choose the Taylor.
If you had $3,000 and you could purchase either a Martin or a Taylor, which would it be?
If I had $3,000, I'd buy an Ovation.
You didn't answer the question.
If I had $3,000, would I buy a Martin or... I have a Martin, so I guess I'd buy a Taylor.
I was surprised. I fully expected, based on comments I've received from an older video, the one I mentioned about Martin versus Taylor and which guitar people preferred, I thought Martin would come out on top. I honestly did. I was surprised that of the 10 people I asked that question to, 6 of them said a Taylor. Now, they had different reasons for sure, but I honestly thought it was going to be the other way around. I'm curious what you think. Let me know. If you had $3,000 and you were going to buy a guitar today and you could choose between a Martin and a Taylor, which one would you buy? The Martin or the Taylor? Let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And have a great day.